guess my question is, have I ever really had to make an effort in life? Like, ever? I feel like all of these success stories that I hear from people, no matter what line of work they're in, no matter, even if it's not work, even if it's just personal successes that they're finding, everyone I see who has some sort of success story, part of it is always making an effort, putting in the hours, being on that grind. And honestly, looking back through all of my years of work and school, I find myself questioning if I've ever done that. I've definitely seen it talked about a lot in the last couple of years. People have coined the term gifted kid burnout. And I feel like for a lot of people that manifests while they're still in school. A lot of people, they go through all of their middle school, high school just fine, and then they get to college, and then you have like people just getting terrible grades all of a sudden and procrastinating all their assignments. There's this like question of, oh, I've been doing it all this time, why can't I do it now? But for me, I even made it all the way through an entire bachelor's degree without reaching the point of crash and burn. And even now, when I'm like facing this whole issue and wanting to talk about it, it's not so much a crash and burn as it is just a kind of skidding to a stop, mangled, and just kind of like dragging yourself forward across the ground. The thing with being a gifted kid is that obviously you're further ahead than other people your age. You're finding the work that you do in school to be pretty easy. Everyone around you might have to study, or they might have to take extensive notes or do things to help them understand the material being taught so that they can pass their exams, while you just kind of sit in class, soaking it all up like a sponge and kind of just being completely useless, and you still get an A on the exam anyway. And of course, for a teenager, that's like the dream, right? Not having to do any work to get the results that everyone wants from you, because obviously when you're in school, that is your responsibility. That one thing that you have to do most of the time is get good grades, and as long as you're getting good grades, people assume that you're succeeding. And obviously a lot of this goes hand in hand with procrastination, which isn't necessarily what I'm talking about here, but obviously if you just kind of coast along, absorbing things, you get good grades on the exam, even when you have a paper, even if you don't spread out the work and do it in a measured way, you still, at the end of the day, right before the deadline, you write a paper in 2 hours and then you get an A on it, and you're like, okay, well, that's sustainable. No matter how much mental suffering that you went through in those couple hours while you were writing a paper that you should have been writing over 2 weeks, you'll say, well, I got it done and I got a good grade. So obviously, while your peers might be figuring out how to study, how to distribute their workload throughout a day and get things done, even if it doesn't come easy to them, you're just doing whatever it is that's most easy for you, getting your assignments done, getting your grades, and everyone's patting you on the back for doing it. You think you're doing great. You don't really think you are missing out on something fundamental because you're getting those grades, but you're not developing the systems that you're supposed to be developing to get this work done. And that's the part that is actually going to help you do things in the future outside of the system of school. And obviously, if you move into a career where you kind of just have everything planned out for you and you just have to go in, do your tasks, and if you get them done well, you did well in your job, your boss pats you on the back, you make your money, and you kind of coast through life, which even that doesn't sound so awesome, but that seems to be what school was preparing me for anyways. What happens when you get through all of those things that you're told that you need to get through? You graduate high school, you get into a good college, you get all the way through college, maybe you even graduate with honors, like I did. And then afterwards, what do? I never wanted to go into like a traditional career. This YouTube has always been the thing that I wanted to do with my life. And as you can imagine, it's pretty self-reliant, and a lot of people will talk about that as a plus. You know, you're independent, you can work whenever you want to, no one's making your schedule, no one's asking you to do anything, you're not accountable to anyone. But what happens when you've gone through your entire life only doing the things that you have to do because you're accountable to somebody, because you're accountable to a system? And then you go into a career where there is no system, where there is nobody looking over your shoulder telling you to get things done. And suddenly, shocker, you're not doing anything. I've tried to start this whole YouTube thing multiple times, and what I always come back to is that it's hard, it's difficult. And a lot of people say, like, oh, how difficult can it be? And if you're talking about the actual tasks involved, maybe it's not that difficult, but it involves a whole lot of little things that come together to make an upload, to make a consistent upload schedule, to make an entire channel, to get to the point where maybe you could do it professionally. There's so much that you have to have a handle on behind the scenes and do pretty much every single day and stay self-motivated to do it. And obviously this is just my experience, but this applies to a whole lot of other jobs that are, I guess, self-starters, that are reliant on you to get up in the morning and do what needs to be done. Not only the bare minimum, but like those extra high efforts that are actually going to get you somewhere. They're going to build to get you that momentum to actually build something that's going to support you. And while I can see that if you were looking in from the outside on what I do on a daily basis, it would seem like I am just like a big hunk of nothing and I'm just lazy and I spend all this time on my phone and watching TV and doing meaningless things that don't actually contribute to what I say I want to do with my life. And it seems like I'm just choosing to do nothing, but in reality, I'm inside of myself in every moment, usually, saying like, I should be filming, I should be editing, I should be writing a script, I should be doing something. Why am I not doing anything? Why am I not pursuing my dreams? I'm supposed to want to do this. Why am I not doing it? Like, you worthless piece of shit. I'm sure I don't have to explain that having that internal monologue going on in your head all the time is pretty exhausting. And I've spent a whole lot of time over, honestly, the last year and a half trying to figure out how I can break this cycle that I have been in quite literally my entire life, that I have developed on, that my brain has formed around. How is it that I can break free of that? It's not easy. My brain knows what is acceptable to get the results that I've always needed, but like I said, once you get out of that system, it's just all gone. All of these things that I've trained myself to do and what's been okay my entire life is suddenly like not just inadequate, it's completely irrelevant. Ow, damn, my eyeball. I feel like I'm living my life completely passively, which is really scary. It's not like I don't know that my time here is limited, you know, I struggle a lot with death anxiety. So it's like I have this like ticking clock in my head, as we all do, but I feel like I'm aware of it all the time, of just like, this is what you're doing with your life, this is what you're choosing to do with it. Like, you know exactly what you want to do, all of these things you could be doing to have this happy life that you want to have, and you're not doing any of it. And of course, all of my life, you know, having this inner monologue has just caused me to spiral into a whole lot of self-hatred, which makes me even less inclined to get up and do the work. Because honestly, like, with the way that my brain works and being neurodivergent, even just going to work on a daily basis, and you know, even then, like, work is a perfect like microcosm of what always worked for me in school. I have to get up in the morning, so I do. I go to work. I do the tasks that are expected of me pretty well, enough to be considered a good employee. I do it, I go home, and I get paid. And I can live, woo! But then, what do I do when I get back? Nothing. I always tell myself, you know, like, you have a good, like, 6-7 hours between when you get home from work and when you go to bed. Like, you could be getting so much done in that time. I could be filming and editing entire YouTube videos, I could be writing, I could be working out, I could be doing all of these things that are productive, that I know are a part of the way I want to live my life. And yet I sit down when I get home for a break, and that break inexplicably ends up lasting the entire 6 or 7 hours. And it is all I can do to pry myself out of my chair to go take a shower and then go to bed and wake up and do it all over again. And obviously this could be a commentary on just how the hell you work full time and have a life outside of that. That's a whole other conversation. But at the end of the day, when it comes to doing the things that are difficult, that require study plans, research, time spent, problem solving, like running into roadblocks and actually working around them instead of just picking up my phone to start that endless scroll when my brain runs into something it doesn't want to solve, I fail. I fail to overcome that stupid urge in my brain to do the easy thing, to take the easy way out and just like coast through the rest of my day every single day. Every single day. And you know, admittedly, a bit of a meta moment here is that I'm actually not doing that right now because I am sitting here filming. And obviously if this gets up, I will have edited this footage. I will have done everything I have to do to get it up on YouTube. But, you know, in spurts, in brief moments, I can do this. I still don't know how to do it consistently. I still don't know how to consistently put in those hours to actually get things done, which explains my upload schedule. I know there's a whole lot of advice out there on how to overcome this, but if you struggle with the same thing I do, you know that at the end of the day, you can set yourself up for it the best that you can. You can have all of these systems, you know, all of these to-do lists and timers and browser extensions and all of these things that are supposed to help you do it. But at the end of the day, there is just this moment where you have to choose to do it. And that moment is kind of like every single minute of every day, and you have to keep choosing to do it. And that is just not something that people have a hack for. It's something that you just have to do, and it's hard. It's hard when you've spent your entire life being able to come up against that moment and say like, oh, I'll do it later. Because that's really what it is when you put things off that you want to do, that take time to do. It's not about procrastinating cleaning your room, really. It's not about procrastinating taking the trash out. It's procrastinating taking up a new hobby or doing art, learning a language, or keeping up with your friends or visiting your family or looking for a new job that's better than the one that you're just scraping by on now. It's all of these things that aren't like tangible things with deadlines that you can see that you're not meeting. It's just this overarching sense of dread that there's so much that you want to be doing with your life that you're just not. And after a lifetime of that being something you just live with, having those deadlines and that panic to meet those deadlines be enough, how do you get over that? This is usually the part of the video where someone has advice or like, this is how I did it. You can do it too. Considering that this is probably one of the biggest things that most people struggle with, I definitely don't have some sort of fix for it. My fix for it today was turning on this camera and filming. I don't know what that fix could be for you, but whatever it is that you want to do that you're not doing, you really just unfortunately have to do it. No matter how unprepared you feel or how much you say like, oh, but I need to wait, I need to do research, I need to get better before I do it, like, oh, I'm terrible at it. It really, at the end of the day, doesn't matter. Even if you do something and you do it poorly, or, you know, you reach out to someone and you're awkward, or you start drawing and you suck, or even if you start studying something and it's hard and you don't know how you're going to retain all this information, even if you do whatever it is that you're wanting to do and the output is bad, you're still learning how to do it better next time. That is like the whole process of like everything that we do. You're still doing it. And as opposed to laying awake in bed at night wondering where you would be if you started doing that thing that you wanted to do like 3 years ago. A big issue that I have with this sort of thing is that I think like, oh, like what right do I have to be talking about this? Like I don't have some sort of solution. I don't have this confidence that like I can do this for you. It's like I can't, but what I can say is that this is something that I go through on a daily basis, and the reason that I talk about things here is that maybe someone else can watch it and feel better that there's someone else out there trying to do the exact same thing that they're doing, and maybe I'm a little bit further along in overcoming my thing. Obviously, if I'm filming it and posting it, it's such a common experience, and we're all just trying to figure things out. Like, wherever you are in that path, I hope we can all get there. Ugh. Alright, I think I'm tired of the sound of my own voice now. If you resonated with anything in this video or any of this sounds familiar to you, please leave a comment and tell me about your experiences, because even though I'm out here talking about this on here, you know, it's still very comforting to know that other people are going through this at the same time that I am. But yeah, that's all I have to say. I guess I'll see you next time. Bye!